Who needs a grill when you can just spray grill flavoring on food before sliding it into the oven? Why throw peppers away when you can just cut off the caterpillar-infested parts? Here are the menu items Pizza Hut employees want us to think twice about ordering. The only thing that can make a cheesy pizza better is even more melted cheese tucked into the crust, right?
You'll want to eat it the wrong way. Crust first.
Employees aren't overly enthusiastic about Pizza Hut's stuffed crust, though. Several have taken to Reddit to describe how it's made, and it's a lot less complicated than you probably pictured. One employee explained, "It's basically just frozen cheese sticks stuffed into the crust of the pizza." That may not sound too bad, but the issue Pizza Hut workers most commonly run into is that the cheese doesn't heat up enough while baking, so it stays cold in certain areas. Even if it does manage to melt, the way the cheese sticks are shaped means it typically won't fill the entire crust. It also doesn't always melt with the consistency that you'd expect, so the texture is variable. This seems to depend on the conditions in which the cheese has been stored or prepped, with one employee claiming that stuffed crust made with frozen cheese that's been left to defrost in the cooler ends up having a texture akin to mashed potatoes. Let's be real, nobody comes to Pizza Hut expecting an oil-free experience. The chain has long been renowned for deep dish pies dripping in grease.
You're a trash lass.
What may surprise you, though, is the sheer amount of oil used to prepare an original pan pizza. One Redditor detailed their husband's experience in the kitchens, where he claimed that the pizzas were overly oily. They wrote, "They put about half an inch of oil in the bottom of each pan before putting the dough in and baking." Other employees have gone into more detail about the amount of oil involved in turning around one pizza. One Redditor summarized the recipe as such. "The instructions for a personal pan pizza are 3 squirts of their proprietary oil in the bottom of the pan, then rubbing the frozen dough puck all around to make sure it really soaks in. Then after the dough rises and proofs, 2 more squirts before adding the toppings and cheese and into the fridge to bake. Each squirt had to be at least 2 tablespoons of oil. Once the dough is risen, 2 more doses are added before the toppings. That's roughly 10 tablespoons in a personal pizza alone." While there's no estimation of how much oil goes into the biggest pizza, another employee has claimed that it requires twice as much as the medium, which likely has twice the amount of the personal. When someone posted a thread on Reddit questioning what fast food employees would advise never ordering from their restaurants, one Pizza Hut worker had a very definitive answer. They ominously wrote, "Never order grilled anything ever." Their reasoning for this is very simple. While the food itself may taste fine, they claim that the instantly recognizable grilled flavor is anything but authentic. They revealed, "The grilling flavor comes from an aerosol can of grill flavoring sprayed on just before putting it in the oven." This secret isn't limited to Pizza Hut, with employees at other fast food restaurants claiming similar methods of creating a faux grilled finish for its meat, such as adding fake grill marks. You may also notice grilled flavor on the ingredients list of several meats at your local grocery store if you look hard enough. Like all the meat at Pizza Hut, the ham comes sliced and ready to go. The issue for most employees isn't so much the preparation process or the taste, but rather a mysterious detail that you would only know if you'd personally handled it in the kitchens. According to an ex-Pizza Hut employee, the ham has a nasty habit of turning a disgusting gray color within a day or so of opening the packet, the alum claimed. "You just couldn't tell if it had been opened 24 hours ago or 2 weeks ago." Strangest of all is the fact that the ham allegedly then becomes pink again once cooked. While that would suggest that it hasn't gone off, other employees have corroborated claims that it's hard to tell what state the ham is in, since it allegedly doesn't have a use-by label. Some people love it, some people think it's a crime against humanity.
Good.
It's good? What do you mean it's good?
Really good.
What? That's insane. That's blasphemous. Putting fruit on pizza?
Regardless of where your taste buds stand on the world's most divisive pizza topping, employees who work the kitchens of your local Pizza Hut will often advise against adding pineapple to your pie, not because they don't think you should be mixing meat and vegetables with fruit, but because it's notoriously quick to expire. Several Pizza Hut employees have taken to Reddit to note that pineapple tends to expire first of all the fresh toppings. As they're so divisive, that means each store ends up with plenty of pineapple to spare, and it begins to smell bad at a disturbingly rapid rate. One worker claimed, "I used to work at a Pizza Hut and we were always throwing away pineapples. Most people would not order them, and after about 2 days they smelled like alcohol." In an ideal world, the extra pineapple would just be thrown away, but the reality is that in less organized kitchens, these not-so-fresh toppings could easily end up on your order. Not satisfied with putting their own spin on one area of Italian cuisine, Pizza Hut first started serving pasta way back in the 1970s. Its offerings have undergone a few revamps since then, with the current lineup offering guests the choice between classics such as chicken Alfredo, cheesy Alfredo, and veggie pasta. All of these dishes are made in the same trays, which is why a lot of Pizza Hut employees don't recommend giving them a try. One worker claimed, "I know for a fact the pasta dishes are not always washed correctly. If you get a pasta dish with some baked cheese on the dish, chances are good it's from a previous order." Taste-wise, they're also not too popular with employees. The new Alfredo varieties introduced in 2022 are particularly unpopular, receiving frequent bashings for being both watery and bland, something a handful of workers claim can be marginally improved by adding in either buffalo or spicy garlic sauce. Pizza Hut employees don't just recommend skipping the Alfredo on pasta, but the pizza as well. While this isn't a staple pizza topping, it's popped up in the past and will almost always generate annoyance in the kitchens if it's listed on your order, as proven by the fact that workers have even made memes about their sheer hatred for the sauce. One worker asked, "Does anybody else hate dealing with Alfredo sauce when working cut? It runs everywhere. Cleanliness isn't the only issue. Employees have explained that if you follow the recommended amounts for the sauce, you'll usually end up with a dish more akin to soup than pizza, or one of their signature melts. If you do opt for something containing Alfredo, you may want to ask for less sauce than usual." One wizened employee said, "Personal pan amount of Alfredo is more than enough for a melt. Even for a large, a little over half is enough." For customers, a common complaint is that there's just not enough bacon on Pizza Hut pizzas. Employees have explained in the past that this comes down to the fact that there are different measuring cup sizes to dole out different groups of toppings, and the bacon, being one of the most expensive ingredients used at the Hut, goes in the smallest cup. Judging by the other things employees have to say about the bacon, this may not necessarily be a bad thing. The common consensus is that it's pretty low quality, especially compared to the bacon offered by rival chains. One employee said, "I refuse to eat it ever. It's the worst topping we carry. For being the most expensive topping our store carries, it sure is quality." To back up this point, a different worker shared a picture of their store's bacon delivery, showing how the bits that go on your pizza tend to be primarily fat. That's also why it seems like there's barely any bacon on your pizza. If you've ever noticed a little white sliver on your pizza that looks like it could be onion but isn't, that's probably what you found, a tiny piece of hardening fat.
Well, that's just great.
While you expect to see grease pooling on a deep dish pizza, you don't picture the same thing happening when you order Pizza Hut breadsticks. Employees have dashed the image of these simply being fresh bread coated in garlicky, buttery goodness, and instead made it very clear that there's something a little less appetizing at work. Oil, yes. Again. One Pizza Hut worker took to Reddit to set the record straight about the butter used to finish off the breadsticks, clarifying that it's actually just a thick oil. They explained, "The thing is cooked in a lake of grease. It has to be the greasiest food on earth." That says a lot, considering they also addressed the amount of grease in the original pan pizzas in the same post. Like the regular and thin crust pizza dough, the breadsticks are also provided to Pizza Hut stores frozen and defrosted overnight in oil, which means they were already off to a pretty greasy start. Whether a store sources and slices its own vegetables or receives them pre-sliced on a truck, all the veggies you eat on a Pizza Hut pizza are pretty fresh. As anyone who's worked in a kitchen with veggies will tell you, this comes with one unavoidable downside: bugs. No matter how hard you try, it's inevitable that the odd, creepy crawly will find its way into your food from time to time. As one former Pizza Hut employee explained on Reddit, one veggie seemed to be more prone to unexpected visitors than others. They claimed green peppers at Pizza Hut had caterpillars very often. While you'd assume the obvious solution was to throw out or replace any vegetables with bonus bugs, this doesn't seem to have been the case. They wrote, "Some employees would cut off the caterpillar-infested parts. Some would not." Any pizza joint worth its salt boasts a solid pepperoni pizza. Generally, customers love the greasy, cheesy, carb-laden extravaganza that is one of Pizza Hut's best options. But employees aren't quite as enthusiastic about the quality of the meat itself. As one Pizza Hut worker so eloquently phrased it on Reddit, "Our pepperoni right out of the bag has smelled like straight the entire time I've worked at my location." Several employees have explained that the strange odor seems to only impact the pepperoni when it's fresh from the packet. It's also not limited to the classic pepperoni, with the cupped pepperoni also smelling unusual when first taken out of the freezer, like root beer apparently. Nobody knows exactly why this is, although as one Redditor suggested, it's likely due to preservatives used when freezing the meat. Regardless, there's no denying that it's a pretty off-putting prologue to any meal. Whether you prefer boneless or bone-in chicken wings, Pizza Hut boasts a long list of flavors that exceeds anyone's expectations from the sides section of a fast food restaurant. Despite proving to be a real crowd pleaser with customers, employees who've witnessed the wings being prepared behind the scenes have shared cautionary tales. As is always the case, food handling hygiene needs to be much stricter when you're dealing with chicken than most of the foods prepared in a Pizza Hut kitchen. However, according to one employee on Reddit, the stations are so messed up that food handling violations are almost inevitable. In a different thread, another former employee claimed, "My general manager will just let chicken sit out for an entire shift and add on the fact that our fryer looks like a tar pit because they never clean it, and you have some nasty tasting chicken. Yikes."